everyone, welcome to part 9 of Maddie McCann. It's been a while, but if you're seeing this, if you've not seen the first 8 parts of the journey and also the interludes, and also possibly you might be interested in the videos where there's context of other child cases like Sarah Sharif, Summer Wells, where I bring Maddie in as well, so you might be interested in that. Maddie has her own playlist folder, so you can just go to that straight away and play them all, and you'll find the other ones in the intuitive reads on and psychic channeling on cases and people. So I've been wanting to do this for quite some time, and not doing it and taking notes along the way, as well as doing other stuff like Nicola Bully. These things take your energy and really need focus to fully channel. But I want to wrap things up, that maybe I want to clarify some things and really give a bit more of my 2 cents on it. Now, this is all for a disclaimer. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please use your discernment, your fact finding, your own discernment, your own whatever you want to use, research. This is for the whole content and all the videos that I put on the channel. And you'll understand that I have to give this disclaimer. Now, there's a couple of things in Maddie's story that really baffle me, like the car being rented 22 days later and her body, the smell of death and blood or death in that car. So it's kind of like, was Maddie's body in the car at one stage? And some people saying that her body was stored in the fridge as well. Like, these are the reports that come through. And also people that tend to comment that she didn't pass out, it didn't happen on that night, it was days before. Again, like, she was signed out of the nursery by Kate McCann, her mother, at 5:30, and that was something that was given to the Portugal police. So some things, I really struggle with the car element to fit the story. And I wonder if it was something that there was a smell of death on an item of clothing that then rubbed off in the car, because I am not buying the storage in the fridge and then the car for over 22 days, because also apparently when they moved from, I can't remember the hotel name in Praia de Luz, to another place, the neighbour in the other place said the car boot had been left open for days because it had a smell of rotting meat in it. And this would have been, of course, after 22 days. So I am not, it's something that I'm really struggling with. Now, there's things that I've mentioned, like I mentioned the red, I see a red thread, or like a red bracelet thing, thread of it, and the color blue comes through from her to me, and this could be because there's also a location in Portugal that's blue something, but I think it's to do with a color that means something to her. And although I think Cuddle Cat was pink, so they might say pink was her favorite color, blue was something that was dear to her, and I wonder if it was also around her younger brother Sean. What I can say is, I'm not sure if I made it very clear, that when I was going to start doing Maddie's first reading, I mentioned about my crown chakra a lot of the times, even throughout, but like a few days before when I was getting ready, and I felt that was for a few reasons, the overload of spirit coming through, but also I felt there was darkness wanting to hold me back from speaking, and I indicated this in the previous parts, but sometimes when maybe I'm indicating something, maybe it's clear, but I'm not sure if I'm making it clear in the way I can deliver. Now, some things that I do want to go through is that obviously when I was starting to think of her and stuff, I felt the sea water was very prominent before I started channeling and stuff. What I actually believe is that her body, I don't feel or see water touching her body at the moment. Obviously it will be it might be just a thread of remains or something. I actually feel that she was sort of like nested either in something that was then put in, maybe thrown in the sea, but it went towards a cave and a cliff. And if you remember, I said about the trees, and then there'd be sea on the other side, but there's a forest and there's rubble. Not necessarily a forest full of trees, but there's rubble. And there's like a mountainous or cave, maybe it looks like it's a mountain, but it looks a bit like a cave because it's near the sea, like a cliff. But it's kind of like she's nested, and whether that's in whatever she was put in and it's come towards the rocks. I also feel like it's either, depending on how we're standing, it's either northwest or southwest where she is. And the sea area that she's in is not monotone. So it's not like it's a clear blue sea or a green sea. It's actually merging with the colours of like green and blue. But I don't feel the sea touching her body. And again, it could be something where she was put first and then moved. But it is in a watery area basically, but it's like cocooned in whatever she was in. So it wasn't like thrown in the sea, that's it, you know, just like there's a difference of feeling that to opposed to maybe putting something thrown in the sea and now it's cocooned towards a rock or something like that. And I wanted to actually pull up where I think it would be. So it would be, depending again which angle you're standing in, I narrow it down to a frame of this, about this much on the map. I'll have to show you it in the next part. That's what I also wanted to clarify. I also feel like Maddie McCann was not necessarily a happy child. I feel like she was abandoned a lot. And if you look at the videos of the parents and Maddie and the kids, it seemed very loving, but I just feel she was kind of like a lonely child where she would just get on with things during the day, do her thing, and if her parents weren't there, it was like, oh, they're gone again. She'll be a little bit upset, but then she knows she just has to get on and maybe grab her toy or something like that. I don't feel like she felt like she was wanted or loved fully in the way the child needed to always be held and wanted. I feel like I also see like the Ten of Wands, like and we did get the Ten of Wands, that it was like she was a bit of a burden. And maybe that also came even more increased when the two twins came along, because it's a lot to look after, a kind of being sidelined because of the babies needing more. But I don't think she felt fully loved from the first day she was born, and that really saddens me. Okay, a beautiful child, because she doesn't come strongly through wanting to say everything that happened, but I also believe that there's a reason behind that, and I've indicated it. and I don't think anyone else would have said this, and I'm going to go into that, but it's kind of like there's something hidden and withheld. There could have been also post-mortem depression. I mean, a lot of women go through that. And so that doesn't mean anything around this, but I'm just giving you some stuff like that. But she was definitely, there was a lack of the love that she needed, the nurture she needed, and the nurture she needed as she grows. I'm just going to go back before I forget on what I wanted to say. I forgot it, and that's why I wanted to go back to it before I forget it. Yeah, she doesn't come through that. She wants healing. She wants this to end. She does feel saddened because she was never really wanted. But she's not coming through and stating that who it was. Oh, she is. But it's not like a strong picture of it. And what I'm trying to say that is some channelings that you hear, it's not the correct story, and some channelings and stories that you hear could be just tarot card readings, and it's also not the right story. Even through crime documentaries, it's there might be different things that are going on, like sex trafficking, or purely an accident that, you know, she was given some sleep aid and she got up in the middle of the night looking for her parents, and then she fell and whatever else, and that's how she died. And so it was the accident. And the thing that I want to say is there's an element that ties all these things with an essence of truth. There was something that I saw a couple of months ago, and I hope you don't mind me closing my eyes because it helps me connect sometimes. If I feel I need to, I just do. Where apparently the father was out with one of the friends, which I presume was one of the tapas, but it was prior, and he made a joke of, there was an item of food, and he made a joke that would Maddie something like suck and stuff like that, and that really was a bit weird to hear that was actually stated, and this was actually from a documentary. And some people say that it was she was taken, some people said it was an accident. And see, there's all these little things that actually tie it through to be true. What I do believe was a setup. Okay, let me just go back a bit. I don't believe their trip to Portugal was actually, how can I say? If I say unplanned, you're going to be like, well, we all plan vacations. There was a reason beyond just a vacation to go. This reason is either related to Maddie, but I feel there was also the reason of possibly a troubled time during the marriage, and it was planned to go. I also feel that it was very much planned to go with who was there. And I also feel something really about, and please try to understand what I'm trying to say, 2 days before they were going, this is when it happened, the night 2 days before, didn't happen prior. I'm also going to be asking a question about a super junction, because I believe there is one in place. And that's when you're not allowed to question, and then they don't have to say anything. You don't have, no one's allowed to question a person on a case. And that's what I believe is in place for some of them. And obviously that's in their favor. So I do believe the vacation was not that it was obviously planned as a vacation, but there was a plan behind it. This was totally planned, and there was issues that they were going to resolve. And I think there is an element of I'm getting a no and a yes about Maddie. Like I said, I do think Maddie is something in there. There was a bit of a setup. Now, I mentioned in the last part about her saying that, she'd got up the night before that because her brother was crying, and she actually made this, this point to the parents the night before, that she tried to make him sleep, like he woke up and she woke up and they were crying and there was no one there. I also believe, I think I mentioned it, that she was not, it didn't happen before they went to the tapas. It didn't happen after they went to tapas. I believe it happened during, and I believe a significant time in this was 8:17 or 8:12. I got through on the night of one of it happening. Yeah. And there could have been, because it's very difficult to pinpoint as, people that like to be swingers, but an element could have been that there was maybe some of that went a bit too far, that caused things to go on the rock, like a proper third party involvement. And if you've seen my parts, I get a female being in the presence in that evening on that night. So I wonder if that was part of like the third party, the swingers kind of stuff. 2018, 8:18 is a significant time that I get. But there was a purpose of the trip. And like I said, I don't think her body is incubated. Incubate, I don't think you can do an ED at the end, in water, okay? Like it's not touching her. So it wasn't planned as a holiday, basically. I do believe that someone came and took Maddie's body after what had happened. And I believe that this is actually someone that was called upon and it was arranged for him to do so. I believe where I'm getting the magician dark energy, again, this is disclaimer, please use your own discernment, is in fact from a society where they do certain things to reach higher levels. And when you're part of that society, you know who's more junior. You can contact people who can get people to come and do that, and that person comes to a higher level by doing certain things. And I believe that was the person that came to actually take Maddie and dispose of Maddie. I haven't connected in terms of something else happened along the way. I'm not actually fully convinced that she was not fully gone when she was collected. But she was in so much kind of pain and discombobulated, she was more or less going. And I think I mentioned it was the left side of her body that I felt quite a bit. And I feel the reason she's not strong coming in is that there's a ritual, which I'm going to get to. And also she was maybe also, you know, something on her mouth to when she was, even if she'd passed away, got rid of, you know, she was taped. So where some people might say she was taken for sex trafficking, or in other words, a sacrifice, what I get is actually she was, I don't get, and we asked the question and I can ask it again, in terms of sex trafficking, I think it was just it was part of a society that can do something like this to get, you know, if something's gone wrong, then the best people to call are people that are part of a society that maybe you know, or you know people of that society where they do these things because it's not going to actually get out, as opposed to how can I get rid of this part, you know, her body, and how can I dispose of the body. Now, there could be someone in the 60s, very significant, who knows exactly, and this could be the one who's at the higher level, or it could be one of, you know, I mentioned like elite people, I've mentioned sort of, check out some of the parts, and it's kind of like it's a celebration to do it, but I feel what the parents actually did is actually, you know, that red thread I feel is significant. I think it was put on her as a ritual of keeping her from negative evil. It was kind of like a mind game that, you know, to help those that were part of this accident that was sort of an accident in the beginning, but also a setup, and know who I'm talking about, to accept that they've done, do you know where you do like a farewell, a funeral, and you bring flowers and stuff like that? It was sort of like a ritual put on her, like, we're protecting you from all negative energies and harm, and just some sort of kind of blessing or ritual. And I think that red thread is very significant. If there's a red thread found, some sort of a red thread, and I do believe there was something tied on her hand to signify that, as a mind game that, you know, we're keeping her from evil and she's protected, and yes, she's gone now, but this is what we can do with sending her with love and stuff like that. That's what I really feel like. It's a mind game to kind of close off what actually happened. We know that was some money involved, and that's where that person comes in. Again, the 60s is someone around the 60s, late 60s. The magician that we keep getting is kind of like a lot of power, people of power that were involved, and also possibly also other fields, like people that are in politics, legal field, higher professional fields, and the magician, again, I feel signifies the ritual that's done when she was let go of and disposed. But also, this is where I talk about why I believe this is, I believe if they want to find out the truth, it was very easy by interrogation. It's kind of like, and I mentioned it in one of them, that there's a ritual, and I mentioned it, that it doesn't have to be dark, that it's kind of like a spell. No one will find out about this. Done as well, and disposed probably in the sea, burnt and then disposed in the sea. Probably some of their rituals that they do, where, you know, only we know and no one will find out, and it's sort of like a spell ritual. And I feel that I was getting that very, very strongly. And it also, I feel that's why it ties in with people coming up with different scenarios and not feeling they can channel through to Maddie. I feel like Maddie is such a soft soul. She was, but I do feel her pain of abandonment. And although she does love her parents, you can also still feel her as a child. Like, she's not, as souls go, they can come through to you at different ages. They can come through to you to the age of what they would be now. Like, I'm thinking of actually doing Michael Jackson's little story, and he could come through at the age he is, would he be in his 60s now? Or, yeah, I think around that, or early 60s, late 50s. I think it would be early 60s. So he can present himself any way. But Maddie, I feel she's still that child. And this is why I do the case. You know, like, for example, Summer Wells, I was going to do a read. I might do a reading on it. Very clearly, justice is going to be given to that girl. But as I was looking into it, on the investigations and getting ready to read on it, and I'd asked Spirit, shall I read on it? And eventually the answer was to do Sinead O'Connor's part 1. So if you've not seen it, please do see it. It's interesting how I'm going to walk through the astrology and channel at the same time. I got a no, and it was kind of like protection, but it also made me very ill. Very dark energies involved as well, and there's very dark energies involved in this as well. And you know, the reason I do this is because it's complex. I do think justice is going to be found. And I've not asked that directly. I mentioned in my previous parts, which if you've seen, you'll know, I mentioned around the parent Saturn return. So this could be within the next sort of 3 years. But I also think there's other ways that this might come alight as well. Obviously, 3 years or possibly a little bit more. But I think there's going to be a crack around the Saturn return for the mother, and father. Interesting, I was just going to say mother and stop. And for the father, but I think there's other elements, like I mentioned, around her sister. I also get her brother. She was very strongly with her brother, but her sister was the name I got without even knowing her name. I got the name Amy, and her name is Emily, but spelt Amy and then Lee. That could be the one that breaks through, and that could be just through past life regression or just over hairs. I really find it difficult that the parents have not had some argument where there's an indication of it, and I think the children probably know, but they know it as an accident. They don't know other stuff that happened thereafter. And like I said, I do think there's a ritual on the way. She was disposed to keep her apparently from negativity and harm with the red thread. And there has been a spell or a ritual, you can say, in terms of trying to keep this under wraps. And that's the dark energy that I feel was trying to stop me from talking. The King of Swords. And obviously the person that's done it then gets celebrated. It's like they're honorated to a higher level, okay? I used to find that this is like woo-woo, but apparently it does happen. It does happen, and this is very strongly what I get. You know, my cases, like, I'll know from the beginning what I strongly feel, but I don't like to say it unless I'm saying, for example, this card is yellow. But if a person comes and they had a yellow tinge to them, and that yellow tinge would make them maybe go to hospital, and I don't know if they want to go to hospital, they don't want to go to, I would not say it. I would be going a bit around it, and then eventually I'd be like, I said about the tint of the person, because I don't like to, firstly, bring in the negativity, but also I don't like to pinpoint, and everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Please use your own discernment. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not saying anyone is guilty right now. Now, the King of Swords, there's a King of Swords energy that I think is going to actually one of the other ways it's going to come through for the true, like I said, one of the kids, and then there's that red thread, there's something that gets found with Maddie, but I think that's after there's a breakthrough here. And we might not hear of the breakthrough because it's part of the society where someone actually, either the higher up passes away, or one of the people that was involved gets kicked out of the society, is like, off with your head, and is like, because they're thinking, did I do the right thing? Like, they even, I feel like they even had to have a drink to conjure up the ability to do what they were asked to do to get to that higher level. And I think they are always thinking, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? And I think they have to abide, but if they crack or show any kind of softness, even within their own society around this, the higher up is going to be like, off with your head. And I would not be surprised that when someone passes away, that was very significant in this, it all falls into place, and then they find those things, and the things that I'm saying that brings justice to the case comes forward. But that is very strong. It is a continued tradition, and they like, once you get involved in the society, you can't get out of it. And so they have to either go up, or they get treated the way they've been treated, or like, it's kind of like, okay, we're going to sacrifice you. And so they kind of have to, and it's a continued tradition, they can't leave. And so they have to carry out these things when they're asked to. And some of them obviously want to, because they get higher up, they gain more status, they gain more power. I'm just checking my notes to see. We also got a lot about money being involved, and that's the exchange there about the money being involved. And there was that sort of negative, the way, the society is, I mean, it's not going to be angelic, is it? It's going to be more satanic, negative energies involved to do that to people, or to be able to remove someone who you're called upon to remove. The narrative is not right to all the public either. I do question this car of the 22 days, and that she was stored in the fridge, etc., etc. I don't get that at all. I think there was a lot of manipulation by a King of Cups, and a lot of manipulation by, I'm going to do that, but please get it. Family, and another person who really benefited from money-wise, apart from the person that was promoted, got the money, etc. And I believe 1, 2, up to about 3, possibly 4, are part of the tapas that would have gained some money out of it. And I think some people have been, there's money on the table to keep your mouth shut. this was not random. This is dark. And like I said, there was a payment to get rid of the body. The mother could crack as well. But it wasn't just a vacation. There was financial exchange, and there was this clean up, this cover up. And there was then the ritual of like, I'm looking at my phone for, I think in total there might have been 4 men that really were kind of knowing about this. But I'm just looking to make sure I've not missed any notes. But there will be, you know, I'm sure we'll be pulling more cards. So what I wanted to ask today is I just want to pull some cards. And I wouldn't be surprised if the female parental figure had a bit of, would go down these weird routes of a bit of jealousy because Maddie was a bit different, or, you know, whether she was not a favourite, but the, you know, I think I've not found this very strange that apparently one parent can get a bit jealous if the other parent is paying particular attention to a child, but that's really what I get. And I do think there is a ritual for it not to be found out. Obviously it can happen that it's broken, and I think the way it's going to happen, I know the way it's going to happen, and I've given you some indicators, but also about the red thread being significant. And part 3 I think I discussed. Look at that. So this could either mean wrong or the direction is left, but there is very much control and protection. And the narratives are wrong. The narratives, some of the narratives out there are wrong. Tell me more, Maddie. I'm also asking about the super injunction conspiracy. There's some conspiracy behind it that, you know, some people are not actually, there's conspiracy, okay, that probably are not coming through some of the stuff. Can you tell me, is there a super injunction on the tapas 7, please? There's selfish and greed. So, you know, selfishness of keeping quiet, selfishness of putting in a conspiracy, selfishness of, you know, putting the wrong story out, the control and protection. Mask and hidden. I get, yes, there is a super injunction. That's the mask and hidden, you know, selfish greed, protection and control, which would tell you a super injunction is basically where you get protected from legally and publicly being asked questions, and so you don't have to answer. And look, there was third-party involvement, which I've mentioned, and there was that element of an accident, which is the initial stage that I mentioned, but I believe the neglect is not an accident, obviously. Mental torture. I believe this is what, you know, Maddie feels, she did feel, but I also feel that this is what the other person who had to get rid of and dispose of her feels, but also obviously the parents that they go through. Any more cards, Spirit, on this? False accusations. So the false narrative that's out there, the false accusation that this guy is, or that false accusations that she's alive. False accusations that also the guy that they have is, yeah, look, false accusations of the DNA and the guy, the evidence that they're saying is probably this guy that the guy that's in prison is the one that did it. I don't believe that at all. It was part of her soul contract, which will be an element I touch base on. There you go, soul to the dark and ritual, or soul to dark or ritual. So, you know, that's the element there. And there was manipulation, which I believe is the money, is the higher up to dispose. And this is multiple, more than one involved, which we know, okay. I just want to clarify on the super injunction. Let's see if I can see how many have got the super injunction, because I do believe that is in place. That's why I wanted to ask it, and I have an answer. I believe psychically it is in place for them, but I want to see if yes, I did smile. Then I want to break the energy, guys, because we want to get to the end of this. I think me and the subscribers should go to Portugal and do some diving, do some investigating. Why do I feel that me and the subscribers that I have on the channel, we've got more common sense than a lot of, like, whatever. Sagittarius energy, temperance, staying grounded, protected by angels, justice. So again, I feel like this is being patient. Justice is coming forward. Justice tells me that there's, justice tells me, I'm going to tell you what the is about in a minute, part of it. Justice tells me that justice will be served. Just be patient. It's going to be served. It's not answering the question, but I've got the question. I've got the answer here to the question. Four of Pentacles. That is the super conjunction where they don't have to say anything. Okay. I believe that there's about 4, possibly 5, a minimum of 2 people that have a super injunction in place where they don't have to say anything. Okay. If you're not sure of super injunction, just look it up. Super injunction. And then it's between 2 to 5 people. And I think it could be around the 4 people that have a super injunction in place. That tells me that 4 people knows exactly what happened. 2, you can guess who the 2 are. Disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. Yeah, think of parental guardians. And then 2 of those would be at the top as 5. I think the 1 and 4 is 5. I think the 5th is actually the person that is part of the, and I do believe apart from one of the parental guardians, there's someone else at the tapas as part of this secret society as well. There's like the cliff, look, but then she's not exactly in the water. She's kind of, you know, in water, but her body's not kind of touching it. Now, where she could be between kind of a cocooned rock or something, but there's water nearby, because obviously levels change and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think there's 4 for the tapas, and there's 1 additional, which would make sense, the person who's actually done it as well. Okay, I think in total there's probably 9. And there's definitely 4 that have a super injunction in place, and there's probably 9 people in all together that have an indication of elements of the story beyond this thing that Madeleine is missing. And I think some of those are in higher ups, where it's hidden, there's things hidden. Remember I said about the King of Cups being manipulative? just not going to keep going because it's going to be, that was 10 of Swords, by the way. So, you know, I think, to be honest, the super injunction was just something I felt and I wanted to ask upon. And I feel sometimes when I know the answer to something psychically, the cards will just turn out in any way, because it's kind of spirit saying you need to trust your psychic abilities. And that's why you'll find in this that I elaborated further on it and just went with my psychic abilities as well. So I hope you enjoyed part 9. Everyone, if you did, please do like, subscribe, share it with anyone who's interested in this case. Let's send healing to Maddie. We'll go into part 10. If you've got questions for me to ask, let me know. Your support to the channel will be benefited because things like this, I'd probably do a live so that I can take your questions and we can go through them. And also there's obviously a members Patreon if you wish to join that. Any support in terms of like, share, comments, but don't bother sharing it with people that are just going to knock it down. I'm interested to hear your comments. Constructive feedback and shared opinions is welcomed on the channel as long as we all respect each other. And I really am happy that I got this out because it was kind of like energy stuck here and Maddie was kind of like, what about me? What about me? What about me? So I'm happy that I've done it. Ace of Wands, a breakthrough will happen. Page of Wands on. Oh, I think it breakthrough from the children, from a child, from one of the children. I think, you know, I've indicated how this is going to have a breakthrough from part 1, but also some signs and things that we can look into. I will be doing a part 10. It's something I'm dedicated to. But if you want me to read on another case, for example, even the Summer Wells, I'll have to ask Spirit if I'm protected to read on it. Let me know. And do check out the other content. Let me know which ones you actually like, even if it's the celebrities, whatever it is. Do let me know, but please don't be a subscriber coming on the channel and tell me what content to do and that you want to see more of, but you're not even subscribed. I think that's just, you know, at least subscribe because you're supporting the channel. And should you wish to donate to help me continue, give time to, you know, towards finances, but also then being able to give more time to the YouTube channel. The PayPal link is in the description box below. If you want any of my services, readings, channelings, spiritual coaching, life purpose, natal chart readings, energy healing, any of that, or any questions you've got, you can also contact me in the email description box below. I hope we all stay protected, and especially during this time when I don't really want to go into the Middle East war, because I think there's a lot of injustice and a blind eye turned on the Palestinians. I'm just going to say it out loud, and we can all have our opinions. And it's not about the Jewish, because if it would be about the Jewish, then it's about the Muslims and Christians that are in that country as well. It's beyond that. So my heart goes out to everyone that needs healing. To us, may we all stay protected. May peace be granted in the world and on the lands, and may human suffering come to the minimal form that it can do. So I hope you enjoyed this one with Maddie. Take care, everyone. Stay blessed. And you know what? Until next time. Bye for now.